Bosco, comrade. Bosco, we are here. Bosco, we are here. Talk to Bosco. See your guys. No, we are here, sir. Gentlemen, take us in a nutshell.
What was communicated to you as the outcome of the meeting? You know, as far as Labour is concerned, we didn't have a consensus in this meeting. Is that okay?
Are you still going to stand on the fact that they should actually go back to status quo? That's the principle of negotiation. You don't put the partner, you don't ask him to negotiate under gunpoint.
What are the prayers of the NLC?
The prayers of NLC is that we go back to status quo, negotiate, think of alternatives and all the effects and how to manage the effects this action is going to have on the people. If it is an action that must take off.
Does it mean restoration of subsidy?
Well, the subsidy provision has been made up to the end of June. And before then, conscious people, Labour, management, government should be able to think of what will happen at the end of June. You don't start it before the time.
The original deadline.
So why did they make provision up to end of June?
No, the original
Who's lying?
was February 17th.
So why is it up to now?
That was at the discretion of the last administration.
Fine. The last administration made it up to end of June. Why can't we respect the sanctity of even that law that provided for that expenditure up to the end of June?
Okay, but is the NLC considerate with the federal government when they say that there's no fund, they can't fund all of this, they can't raise money to fund the subsidy?
What is the purpose of governance? What's the purpose of governance? Is it the duty of NLC to raise funds for the government, to collect tax, to sell crude at the international market when the price of crude is going high? And the government that is a major exporter of a crude product is telling him there's no money. Other countries that are in the same scenario are eating fat.
Mr. President, do you think it's realistic to continue payment of subsidy?
Why do you keep on hammering on subsidy? What do you understand by subsidy? Has anybody explained to you the meaning of subsidy? What did they say is subsidy? Is there any country, even in the US, there's subsidy on wheat products? Is there any country that does not subsidize living of people, even if it's by providing public transportation? Well, those are issues we are looking at. If you're a major, producer of crude, and you refine abroad, you carry the crude abroad and refine and bring it, definitely there will be difference in the price, and that's what they are paying. If your fathers establish a refinery, and that refinery dies in your hands, and you are now refining abroad, you ask yourself some questions. We have refineries, Kaduna, Wase, Saple, Port Harcourt. Why are they not functioning? That we have to go and refine abroad. The transportation money, the refining cost at international price or rate, and we bring it back here. And the same government pays the difference in cost of what it is here and what it's internationally. That's the subsidy they are telling you about.
But what happens if the government says they cannot return to status?
You are still talking in the sense of in the state of dictatorship. What will happen if this said? It's not all about conversation. It's not democratic way. If you say this thing is happening this way and you are engaged in discussion, if what happens there is take it or leave it, which doesn't have any space in the current dispensation. It's all about the people. The people matter. If they say, this is the project you are bringing, you are removing subsidy, you have been spending money for this friends. Remember 2011, we were here, this compound, and we agree on some principles. Repair our refineries, to start operation latest by December last year. They were not done. We agreed on issue of CNG. The CNG product is eco-friendly and is cheaper than the PMS they are selling now. And some people say they can convert within 3 months. If we have done all these things, what will you be calling subsidy? The Dangote refinery is there to be producing. If any of these refineries are producing, we won't have all this challenge we are having today. That's the language of labor. Now, will anybody increase their salary by 300%? with what has happened now. This question is going to come to the basics as of today. Transportation has gone beyond that. I don't know what they're paying you, but you cannot, it's not enough for your transportation. That's what we are saying. It's not because there is any dogma on subsidy. No, but we should converse in a free environment and atmosphere and arrive. If we agree for a meeting by 2 today, and in the morning, you come out with price modulation. How can you fix price in a deregulated market? If you are talking of deregulation in the classical sense of it, it has to be determined by market forces. What I buy, I sell. But by the time you now dictate the prices, this amount. Now what is happening? Is that deregulation?
But that was just NNPC's price. They didn't dictate to other independent marketers.
So which other are the marketers?
We haven't seen other prices yet.
Which are the marketers? Which are the sole importers of this product? Who are the other marketers? So my colleague will have a lot to tell you guys.
Yes, if you listen to the president during the inauguration at Eagle Square, he said that one of the hallmark of this administration is going to be dialogue, is going to be consultation, and that that this will be the hallmark, that they are not going to lord it over us, trying to paraphrase what he said, and not to be a dictator. So if you read it, it is clearly written there. And what has happened in terms of, as of today, has not shown what was written in his address. So all we said before now was that, just as alluded to by my colleague as well, was that we ought to have sat down and have this conversation. At times it's difficult, before anything could have happened. We have been open to conversations. We started it in 2021, and somewhat part of 2022. But at the end of the day, they told us that they were not removing subsidy. So there was no conversation whatsoever. So for over a year, there wasn't formal engagements and formal meetings. And because there were informal engagements and meetings, that is why we found ourselves here today. If we had met before now, we could have proposed a lot of things. Just as the CNG has said, we have experts in our midst who could have profiled some solutions on even the CNG, how it could be done faster, what are the things that could be, because our own is how do we protect the Nigerian workforce. So it is not about grandstanding, it is not, but it's just about how do we protect the workforce. So for us, clearly we have stated in the meeting today that let's status quo ante remain, why we go back, have conversations with our principals, because the workers are clearly our principals. So we'll go back and have conversations with them. Then after the conversation, then we'll reconvene again and have some further discussion. But we hope that day as well, we will reverse back to status quo ante.
Well, you were speaking with the federal government on the 800 million palliative. What was the conclusion about?
So there is nothing that has been concluded. That is why we are reconvening. So there was nothing that was concluded. So that is why we will reconvene again.
So we'll still stand by fuel at the rate of 537.
Status quo ante. So when you Google it, you get the meaning clearly. So,
okay.
Thank you.